Let's head overseas now for the very latest on the war in Ukraine. Last night, during the Golden Globes Award that nearly no one watched in this country, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky appeared in a pre-recorded message to his fellow actors. He was discussing the state of the war, and of course, as a good thespian, he insisted to those fellow actors that they are close to winning. Just send us some more money. But wait a minute, is that the actual truth? Are they close to winning the war with Russia? We're going to discuss that with our next guest, but first, take a listen to what the actor had to say. Oh, that's the wrong video. That's the, hold on. That's his music video. Sorry. You saw that was Zelensky, right? That's the music video he starred in before he became president. I'm sorry. Run the clip at the Golden Globes. I had to clarify for my team in the back. Go ahead.
It is now 2023. The war in Ukraine is not over yet, but the tide is turning, and it is already clear who will win. There were still battles and tears ahead, but now I can definitely tell you who was the best in the previous year. It was you, the free people of the free world.
You heard right there from the horse's mouth. The tide is turning thanks to us in the free world. Yeah. Now anyway, this is the narrative that Ukraine keeps spewing. They are beating Russia into submission. Now, I'm not saying that if that is true, I wouldn't want that to happen. Okay, great. It's not like I think Putin isn't a murderous dictator. Of course I do. I'm getting tired of people saying, if you question Ukraine, if you question where our money's going, then you're supporting Putin, a killer. No, you're not. You're supporting America. We're trying to keep America first. I want to know where my money's going. So what's actually happening? According to CNN, Ukrainian soldier reporting that maybe the president is lying. A soldier in the 46th Air Mobile Brigade, which is leading Ukraine's fight to keep the key mining town of Soledar in the eastern Bakhmut region. The soldier says to CNN, the situation is critical. It's difficult. We're holding on to the last. He describes the battlefield where key buildings changing hands every day. He talks about the death toll going higher and higher, saying we can't hold on much longer. But remember, the president just told Hollywood and our country they're winning. So don't care what some soldier in the field fighting the battle tells you. It's fake news. Recent videos surfacing of missile strikes in Ukraine, they paint a picture that seems to align with more of what the soldier said on who may be winning that war. What do you think? I just want to know where my money's going and how long we're going to continue this. Now, most recently, I'm sure you remember the Patriot missile system. We talked about it last month. We pledged to send a whole bunch of those systems over there, train them, show them how to use them. Okay. Well, the Pentagon now says they're actually going to bring Ukrainian troops to Oklahoma. So here on American soil to train them in that weapon system. Biden officials saying that this will be the last stand. We will put Putin down with this. Okay. Joining me now to talk about all these recent developments in the war in Ukraine is our friend Colonel Doug McGregor. Colonel, how about it? Does the soldier in that small town who's actually fighting on the front lines, is he lying to CNN, or is the president, formerly known as an actor, is he lying to the American people?
Dan, the soldier that you quoted has now surrendered. The town that he was defending, Soledar, is in Russian hands.
Oh.
And not very far from Soledar, of course, is Bakhmut. Bakhmut is still surrounded on all sides, but the Ukrainians are trying to move what heavy equipment they still have left out of it. And Ukrainians are now telling us, this is actually in the Ministry of Defense, is coming out through separate channels, presumably, and admitting that they've lost 23,000 killed in this area around Soledar and Bakhmut over the last couple of months. So the casualties have been horrendous. I think it's fair to say that, truthfully, the entire Ukrainian front down in southern Ukraine is gradually crumbling. They're trying to fall back to a new line of defense with Kramatorsk in the center of it. But as you look at the terrain, once you reach Kramatorsk and you go further north and west, the country is completely flat and open, which of course is perfect killing ground for the Russians. Meanwhile, the Russians have expended remarkably few lives, but they've used their striking power, particularly from the rocket artillery, conventional artillery, airstrikes, very, very effectively. And the new line around Kramatorsk is actually in range of tactical ballistic missiles, which are even, frankly, more devastating with a 1,000-pound warhead. So I think the handwriting's on the wall for the Ukrainians. At the same time, we have our friend Zelensky is calling upon the Europeans to provide him with hundreds of tanks. Today, the president of Poland in Lvov announced that he would give the Ukrainians 14 Leopard tanks from the German army stocks that were given to Poland, and at the same time that the British are going to send some unknown number of Challenger tanks to Ukraine. You're talking at most a battalion strength of tanks that might be new, and we may see some more upgraded T-72s in another month or two. Finally, the soldiers going to Fort Sill, Oklahoma, will need a minimum of 3 months and probably 3 additional months of on-hand experience to make the Patriot battery work that we're trying to give to them. So I would say that the probability of any of this equipment making any impact is about 0, simply because within the next 3 weeks I would expect the Russians to launch major offensives and effectively crush the remaining Ukrainian forces. So I think this thing is entering its terminal phase. The question is, when it becomes abundantly clear that they've been crushed, what are we going to do? That's an important question, since we have thousands of troops sitting in Poland, Romania, and Polish troops and Romanian troops geared up to fight with us.
Well, that's the $111 billion question by my math. If you put the last package on we approved right before the end of the year, right? It's about 111 billion, which, by the way, let's be real, folks, and Colonel can attest to this. Most of that cash doesn't end up in cash in Ukraine. It ends up back in the military-industrial complex. So whether the Patriot missile system, we take 3 months to train them in Oklahoma and then send them and the systems back over and they don't start fighting for 4 or 5 months, it doesn't matter, because we already gave a bunch of money to the private company that makes the Patriot missile system so they can make some more so we can give those old ones to Ukraine. So everybody's getting rich off of this while poor Ukrainian civilians are stuck in the middle dying. I got that about right?
Yeah, I think it's also, I think that's absolutely right. I think it's important to note that perhaps 40% of the equipment and cash that is destined for Ukraine actually reaches Ukraine. And much of the equipment that we are offloading on Ukraine, if you will, coming from various states in Europe as well as the United States, is obsolete equipment, old equipment. It's not in very good shape. Finally, the graft that's involved here is anybody's guess. But I think if you took the time to go to Cyprus and examine the bank accounts that belong to Zelensky and Zaluzhny, his military commander, and other senior people, I suspect there are millions of dollars in those bank accounts, most of which came from us.
Dang right. I would wager the same. Colonel Doug McGregor, retired, former advisor to the SecDef under President Trump. We always appreciate your insight and your honesty, sir. You take care of yourself. Be well.
Sure. Yep. Thanks.
Слушай, Карпов, сделай вид, что я этого не слышал. Судьба тебя и так любит. Не искушай.
Их, в общем-то, всех и назвали русские, потому что это глагол. Русский — это какой, чей отвечает.
В Соединенных Штатах федерализация? В Соединенных Штатах федерация? Слышал? Да? Да? А как называется? Соединенные Штаты Америки. Это федерация? Вот смысл федерации. Ну, королек всегда сразу внутри. И снится нам неровно космодрома, не эта ледяная
справедливому закону в относительно справедливости большинства народа.
Ничего, ничего, в тюрьме тебя перевоспитают, лет через 10 вернешься другим человеком.
А Західної України немає.
Західної немає, і Восточної.
Немає Восточної України. Є одна Україна.
Да, є.
Де ви таке бачили? Східна Україна. Є схід України, є захід України, є східні області України. Є Республіка Кубань, яку окупували комуністи в 1918 році.
А Воронеж не окупували комуністи?
Ні, Воронеж передали.
Уровень интеллекта у Миколы Рушницы, на самом деле это Геннадий Хазан, по-моему, так его фамилия, это уровень интеллекта креветки из Азовского моря. Хороший.
Картошовский был. Мы сделали украинскому городу ничего. Пытаясь, да, Украине, которая создана группа экономическую